I decided to come out to the garden today to do some pottery. One, because these roses smell insane and I don't think there's any better way that I could enjoy them. And two, because it might be the last really sunny day we have for a while, so I definitely want to enjoy it, spend some time cozy at home. I have some plans today. I want to try to make a matcha set. I think I want to try to make it a couple different ways just because I don't know how they're going to turn out. I'm going to make the matcha mixing bowl, the whisk holder, and I'm going to make a few cups or mugs, matcha mugs if you will, as well. I also want to try to throw a really big serving bowl at the end. We'll see how well it turns out. I'm trying a new clay today, so I don't know how well it's going to go, and I've never thrown with this much wind outside, so we'll also see how that goes. We are officially onto our last piece of the day, which is this giant hunk of clay that I would love to turn into a giant bowl. It would be the largest bowl I've ever made, and since I've been working with a bunch of smaller pieces today, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go. It took me a little while to warm up today. It's hard for me to not be attached to the product, but once I released that and just really enjoyed the creative flow, I actually made better pieces. So it's kind of ironic that I'm so obsessed with doing everything right, but once I release that and just really pay attention to how it feels and how the clay works in my hands, I just do a better job. So I feel like I'm learning a lot in that regard. I really do hope that this one goes well, and I do think we're gonna get a little bit of rain while I'm throwing it. It is sprinkling a little bit as we speak, and there have been some really fast showers, so that'll be interesting if we get a little bit of rainwater in this piece. It's already beginning. So let's just go for it and see how it turns out.
Drops to the floor. They said it would get easier, but I don't know who for. Days move faster now, I swear. I can feel them slip away. But some things last forever, the love that never fades. Make promises for the young and free, but you kept every word you said, and you stayed true to me. We lean into the great beyond. There's more love yet to make, 'cause some things last forever, but love that never fades.
Probably could have made a much bigger bowl if I had made less of a huge foot, but it is what it is. I also feel like I should have flared it out more. Okay, whatever. And there comes in the perfectionist. All right, you guys, here are our finished pieces. I am kind of mind blown by this, but it kind of feels like some of them are already leather hard. So I guess I'll just go ahead and I'll put plastic over them so that I can trim them tomorrow. And I think that I'd like to put some carvings into these pots and also a few other vases that I made in the forest. But I think I might do it tomorrow when there's hopefully a little bit more predictable weather. Audie and I have become ultimate cuddle buddies. I don't know if you guys watched the video where I told you guys that Peanut was broody and laying on her eggs. Unfortunately, neither of her eggs made it, which was actually really, really sad because they made it pretty far. But Audie has comforted both me and Peanut through it, which has been great. Peanut is right next to me, and so is Draco, just right off camera. I think we are done with pottery for the day, and I'll take my pots out to the forest tomorrow to carve them, hopefully. It kind of just depends on the weather. There are so few warm months here in Germany that we really have to soak it in while we can, because it really does feel like 10 out of 12 months of the year are kind of cold, cloudy, and gray. And honestly, that's not even really excluding July. July can be cloudy and gray too, which has been a little hard on me, especially coming from California. They're lover boy of the ducks for sure. You're just a lover boy. How you doing, sweetheart? Let's get some little pettings too, huh? You guys, as soon as I was putting everything away, I determined that these pots actually dried really, really fast. I think because it's so windy outside, it's basically like they were being blown with a blow dryer for the entire time that I was throwing them, and I didn't put plastic or anything on them when I was done with them. But I'm gonna go ahead and trim all these pots right now. I just finished this one. I have been working behind the scenes on my own website. It's kind of a personal blog documenting all of my adventures into pottery, what I'm learning, what I'm making, and just kind of seeing where this adventure takes me. I want to give a huge shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. If you guys love diving into creative projects, and if you are on this corner of the internet, you probably at least have some interest in that. Squarespace is this all-in-one platform that helps you to build your online presence. So if you want to share your work, maybe you want to start a blog, or perhaps even sell your creations, Squarespace gives you all the tools to do that in just one place. One thing that really helped me with this site is the new Squarespace Blueprint design system. It's basically like having a personal designer work with you and help you find your own unique aesthetic, only it's much easier and faster. Squarespace also has a bunch of SEO tools, which is search engine optimization, and it's how people find your site. This can be a tricky thing to work through and master, and Squarespace makes it a lot easier to help your site reach a wider audience. If you do use Squarespace for an online store, they make checkout seamless for your customers with a bunch of payment options. They accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. So if you're interested in starting your own website for a portfolio or a blog or maybe an online store, you can go to squarespace.com to get a free trial. Then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Maddie Taylor for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. All of this information is also linked down in the description box below. The best part of where we live is all of the nature that is surrounding us, and this year there have been so many baby animals born. We have seen geese babies, duck babies, we even found mink babies along the river. Pretty much all of the songbirds are either nesting or have already hatched their eggs. And this year we've been really excited that the swans were able to hatch out 3 babies. Last year none of their eggs hatched, so it was a pretty big deal. So in honor of that, I think I want to carve the little swan family onto one of my pots. Ever since I started the ceramics journey, I've known that I've been really interested in carving nature-inspired pieces into my eventual work, but obviously I'm still a beginner, I'm still figuring it all out, so I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I really only have enough time this week to throw, trim, and carve them, and then next week I'll be able to do the underglaze, the bisque fire, and then the final glaze to see how it all turns out. But regardless, I'm really excited to try it for the first time. That being said, one of the swan babies didn't make it, and that's one of the reasons that I do want to carve the swan family onto my little matcha set and maybe a vase as well, because hopefully in doing that, in painting the family of 5 that we first videoed, I'll pay a little honor to that little baby who was lost, and also to the little duck babies that we lost earlier last week too. I think that's all we have time for today. I went ahead and did add the pattern to one more of the vases that I made last week, and maybe I can experiment on all of these things to see which color combos I like the best next week, because as of now I feel a little bit lost
on where I want to go with it. And obviously I can make a bunch more and experiment with 1,000 different varieties. This is the first time we've been to this part of the forest where it feels really tucked away and it feels like no one can find us here, except for the deer, of course. And I definitely think we'll be back because it's really nice to just feel like it's us in nature, all alone, no one around. Last week I fired my first round of pots, and this week I'm hoping to test out all of the glazes that I've bought in the past couple weeks. These are the first pots that I ever made on my wheel. I actually have the very first one I ever threw, which is a really cute little funny thing. I know you can make little tiles to test them, but I have yet to do that, so we're going and trying them on the big pieces. With this information, I'll be able to better figure out what I want to do with the matcha set and the vases and all of the things that I've spent a little more time on and also had a little more skill set while making. I do have quite the collection of glazes here. I tried to pick a variety, but it did end up being mostly some neutral greens and blues. I have a purple in here, and I do have a speckled white. And we can explore more as I figure out what I like and what I don't like, but for now I'm really excited to try all these out. Apparently glazes separate a lot, so you really want to give them a good shake before you use them. I can't believe that I'm actually glazing pots for the first time. All right. Nothing can touch the walls, nothing can touch each other. And then you try to make it balanced is what it is. Yeah. Wow. That's some nice symmetry. We are waiting with bated breath this morning for the kiln to get cold enough. Last night I kept panicking that maybe I put the wrong clay in, which would mean that something melted in the kiln because I have one that burns at lower temperature. So I had a bunch of fever dreams about that. And also, up until the very last minute, I was literally using a blow dryer to dry the kiln wash that prevents glaze from sticking to the kiln shelves. So I was also really nervous about whether or not it was dry enough, if maybe there was a steam explosion. So there's been a lot of worry going into this. We are currently at 246. It cooled down pretty quickly last night because it's been pretty dismal weather, but we need to wait until it's at least at 100 degrees to crack open the lid so it doesn't shock anything. But my heart is racing just coming out here, and I just really hope that we have no disasters, and hopefully the worst case scenario is just some ugly pots and not melted clay.
I feel like I kept dreaming about opening the kiln and seeing these beautiful bowls.
I'm so glad that that was how it worked for you. All I can think about is melted clay.
I know. She woke me up last night and was like, Ellie, the bowl you made, did that feel groggy?
All right, you guys, it is officially time to open this kiln together. I will admit I did already crack it, and so there's been no terrifying disasters yet, but I haven't really seen the full picture of how they look. So we'll see that together. As pretty as I thought they were going to be. All right, you guys, we are looking at the first pots from my kiln. There are definitely some that I like a lot more than others. I feel like there are some things I definitely need to do more research on that I thought were going to behave one way but behaved entirely differently. And there's some pots that I won't be surprised if they end up as mosaics one day, if not as free gifts for neighbors. I quite like how this plant pot turned out. I don't have a little water basin for it yet because I just got bats to do that, but it does have a hole at the bottom. I thought that the sapphire blue would be a little bit darker, but for the most part, I think that it's quite cute. I also quite like how the white speckled glaze turned out on the pots that I used it on. It turned out exactly like I was hoping it would. That being said, we were hoping that these glazes at the top would sort of bleed into each other a little bit more. If you guys know about chemistry of glazes, I know it's a whole study in and of itself. Let me know in the comment section below. I've heard that something called Bots Plus can help to make things bleed into each other, but I'm not sure if that's the missing link. But I would have loved to see that, especially since these are supposed to be runny glazes. I quite like how the matte purple and the matte green turned out. The matte purple doesn't really have too many applications for my personal taste, but it does look pretty funky and cool, and I really love this matte green one. I'll definitely be using it again. And I think one of my favorite pieces is this one with the dark green. It kind of turned out exactly like I was hoping it was going to, so no regrets there. The pots that I do not really like and probably will end up being mosaics or free gifts for the neighbors are these two ramen bowls. I just don't find this glaze particularly appealing. It's very dark. I think I prefer a contrast of lights and darks, but we did decide to go with a dark scheme for these just for fun. And I think that maybe if it was darker overall, I would have liked it more, or if there was contrast, but they're just kind of this washed out color, and I just don't particularly love them. I love this glaze, but I don't really like its application on this particular pot. And then of course, the first pot that I ever made is kind of just a cute little thing that I'll just have on the shelf as decoration, as a reminder of how far I keep progressing along this journey. Ellie glazed a few of these herself. She glazed this little one too, and I think she wanted the same thing, more dripping. So we'll really have to do more research, especially since now I can bisque and fire the matcha sets as soon as they're ready. I think I'm gonna get some underglazes, and so I think it might be going into another blind experimentation. In the next couple days, I'm gonna be doing so much research to hopefully go in a little bit more prepared. I don't know how prepared you can even be without testing them out. Everything kind of behaves a little differently, but I would love to hear from any of you guys that know about glazes. And that's that.
You are just a lover boy. What are you doing? Excuse me, sir. That is my earring. That is not a worm. Leaves. No leaves. No leaves, just nuts.
Because this clay breaks.
He's like, I'm having to jump. Okay, alright. You don't have to jump over me. You can just walk away. Bye, Audie.